Hello, Monster Man here, and welcome to a sponsored video, which means I'm getting paid for it, on Solasta and its new DLC, Primal Calling. So this game is developed and published by a company called Tactical Adventures, and it's currently available on Steam for almost 50% off at the moment of recording, and it's at £21, so double that for its full price. So Solasta is a game based off the Dungeons & Dragons rule set. I believe it's 5th edition, 5e. That means anything to you? Doesn't to me. I've never actually played Dungeons & Dragons, at least not the paper version, because you need friends to do that. Or at least people you can tolerate talking to for a certain amount of time. Or even more importantly, people who can tolerate talking to you for a certain amount of time. And I've never found those. So that's fine. I've got Solasta now. Don't need those people. They're jerks anyway. That's probably why they don't want to talk to me. Anyway, so this game is kind of like Baldur's Gate for nerds. Now, we've had a few sort of isometric style sort of Dungeons & Dragons RPGs recently, which is it's nice that it's made a comeback. Obviously, Baldur's Gate was, you know, a long time ago, probably more than I actually want to remember. Since then, we've had quite a glut of them, which is fantastic because I love those kind of games. And this is another of those. And it kind of does things a little bit differently, though. So you can start an adventure. Obviously, there's the Crown of the Magister adventure, which of course is what the game is named after. So I presume this is sort of like the main campaign. But there are also a couple of other ones, and these ones have been created using the Dungeon Maker, which is how you can sort of create Solasta games in Solasta itself. So you can create games and then set your characters to sort of try and go through them, upload them to the workshop, and let other people try and go through them. So if you've got that sort of creative aspect to your personality, it's really good, and I really like that kind of stuff. I really like the StarCraft 2 map editor. I made maps for that for forever. It's great. Really enjoyed it. Really robust editor. The editor here is pretty good as well. It's not too bad. Now, you don't necessarily, it's not like a main character to this game. What you can do is you can create a sort of roster of characters. There are some already pre-created, but you can create some of your own. So for example, I've created Donald there. We've also got Dark. He's a blueberry marsh halfling, or like a ribena berry marsh half. I don't know, but he's like an evil cleric or something. Who knows? Anyway, that's pretty cool, isn't it? The character creation is not too bad. So you kind of you select your ancestry, so whether it's going to be like a high elf or a Sylvian elf, human, half-orc, hill dwarf, or snow dwarf. What happens if you live on a snowy hill? I don't know. Obviously, that could be quite confusing for a dwarf. Don't know where you fit in life. And there's also marsh and island halflings, all different kinds of races there, all come with various different bonuses or negatives. So if we take, for example, like a snow dwarf or something like that, we can then select next. We can select a class. It should be noted that the half-orc is the new character that is brought in by the Primal Calling DLC. So we'll go to next there, and we also then have the Barbarian Druid classes who are new for the DLC. There's already a roster of various different races here as well. So we could, for example, be a rogue dwarf, and there we go, and get some class features. You can see sort of what you're going to get at higher levels, so that's quite nice. Various different, you can see what you're going to get. It follows the D&D rule set very, very faithfully, or it's as faithfully as it can do, which is pretty good. And obviously, I don't know what the 5th edition rule set is, but I've heard that they do their best to sort of try and follow it as closely as possible. And I mean, it feels very Dungeons & Dragons, if nothing else. You can change your equipment as well, so you have some options here. You can have a rapier or a short sword, short bow or short sword, burglar's pack or explorer's pack, so various different options there. You can then pick your backgrounds, whether you're an aristocrat, you're an acolyte, a lowlife, various different options there. Background personality flags depend on your background, which is quite nice. And also, you know, so for example, if you start as a lowlife, you just get commoner's clothing, but you will be proficient with thieves' tools, which obviously quite useful for a rogue. Alternatively, maybe you're an aristocrat, which means you're going to start with some more money and a sigil ring, and obviously a little bit more learning potentially. So you'll have 2 additional languages to pick, something like that. So we're going to pick a low life, and we're going to say greed and kindness. So we're greedy, but we're kind with it, and we're going to say we are like kindness and pragmatism. So you're generally a good guy, sort of erring towards the neutral there. There's also a Wanderer background, so that is new with the DLC as well. Spy could be quite useful as well, but we're gonna go with that. That's fine. You can then roll the dice. Roll the dice. I mean, that's pretty good. So we could then say, okay, dexterity gets, so that's 18. So we get +1 from ancestry. We could then say put 12 in constitution, +12 in strength, intelligence, 10, 10, 10, something like that. Or maybe we want to swap those around, maybe. Something like that. There we go. That seems fine. So we go with that. And that looks all pretty fine. We can pick some class skills as well. So perception, probably quite useful for a rogue. We could also do like acrobatics could be quite useful, couldn't it? Maybe something like that. Performance. Although part of the rule set invalid for role-playing purposes, the element is not used in the Crown of Magister's main campaign. Fair enough. So it's warning you that's not actually used, but you could select it if you wanted to. Let's go with persuasion. That's quite nice. And maybe insight as well. There we go. And also got thieves' tools, various different disguises there. All that kind of good stuff. Basically, you know, it's trying to follow the rule set as faithfully as possible. We could pick thieves' tools because that's going to make us a little bit better. What else do we need to do? Sleight of hands. There we go. Sleight of hand +8. Sure, let's go with that. Let's go with that. And then you get to sort of like design your character. The character designer is fine. It's not the best character design I've ever seen, but then these type of RPGs don't tend to have very good character designers anyway, do they? They tend to be a bit on the meh side. This is probably better than some others. So I would say it's probably better than many RPG character designers. I mean, you know, you've got various different options there. Body decorations, scars, that kind of stuff, hair shape. You know, the hair, it generally looks fine. Some of the races have different. So like orcs, you can make really beefy or not very beefy. You can make your character like old or young, if you like.
Good arms you got. Thanks. More coming your way. Come on, harder.
There's okay. There's not many different types of voices available, but it's generally fine. And you can also then sort of, you know, randomize your name and stuff. Be a boy or a girl character, whatever you like, it's fine. So then when you've finished, sort of like when you're happy with your person, you finish it, and it then appears in your roster of characters. And then when you start a new adventure, you can then select from your little roster of characters there. So, you know, you can really pick your party that you want to take on the adventure, which is quite nice. Quite like that. Now, a big draw for me, of course, is the Dungeon Maker, which I really like. And there's a couple of campaigns that was already created. There are some more on the workshop as well. Although it should be said that fan-created content can often be of variable quality. Let's be honest there. You just have to look at Mario Maker to realise that. With that said, there doesn't seem to be many there, but I've not tried any, and there could be some really good gems there, so that could really extend your gameplay. But it entirely depends. But then, you know, maybe you want to lose yourself in creating your own type of campaign. Let's have a look at one of these ones that are always sort of like pre-created. So we can not browse the files. That's not what I want to do. I want to edit. There we go. That's what I want to do. So basically, you can create your campaign settings, so min character level, max character level. You can then create the location, so where your campaign is going to start, and then the subsequent areas. Now, what this does mean is the campaign is going to be quite linear, so you go from one location to the next. There doesn't seem to be a way to sort of branch, as far as I can tell. I've not looked that far into it, but you can create custom monsters, custom items, custom NPCs, custom merchant inventories, and these can all be added to your campaign, which is really cool. Now, you do have to base them on an existing one. So, for example, you can't make I'm trying to think of a monster. Say a troll. So the game doesn't have a troll currently in it. You can't make a troll, but you can say take a goblin and then change its name, give it different stats, that kind of thing. So there's definitely, you know, there's a lot of options there as well. So for example, if you look at the other monsters there, we can see there's a lot of stuff there that you could potentially use, depending on, you know, what you want to try and do. But I don't think there's a troll. Is that a good example? Can't see one. So there we go. So there's no troll there, so you couldn't like create a troll. You'd need to maybe, you know, look at doing something else. But it's fine, right? It does it's generally okay, and you can switch out for, you know, there we go, there's a monstrosity, it's got a minotaur, a phase spider, spider queen, that kind of stuff, and then you can pick that, select it, you can change the winter wolf's name, for example, give it different stats, different skills, that kind of thing. So that's quite nice. It's, you know, it's generally pretty good. And you can then create your maps. So here we go, here's one that was created for this campaign. You can see you can like add different floor plates to it. It's kind of like building was it Warhammer Quests, where you had like the little room tiles and you like put them together, that kind of thing. It's basically that kind of thing, which is really cool, because I always really enjoyed that. I love making the campaigns, making little dungeons to traverse to, and that's exactly what you're doing here. So you can add the rooms here. You can add props as well, so things like, you know, a fake ladder, a wall blocker, for example. If you wanted to sort of like block this off, then you could do that. Eventually, if you could find somewhere to bloody does it have to be in a? Don't know. Let me put it down. But the point is, you could. So you can put down props and stuff. You can see there's a bunch of different props sort of listed around here. There's also things like, you know, grates. So you can travel through those. Pushable blocks. So you can push those. Torches. So you can light those or put those out. Monsters as well can be placed around. And for example, traps can be linked to the monsters to make them active when the trap goes off. Chests, which can be then filled with loot and stuff. Traps, lore plaques, which you can, you know, fill out with text and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff there that you can do, and that's really cool. And I really like this. I do really like it. It's very neat. And there's different types of areas as well. So for example, if we wanted to say like add a new location, there's like an Acropolis, Stronghold, Elven Palace, Lava Caves. All of these different areas sort of have different props and look slightly different. So you can really sort of like design your little campaign there, which is really nice. I really like that. It's a really cool little thing, and I think that's a really big draw for Solasta for me personally. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick look at sort of the main campaign. Now, I've been playing this with a set of characters, pre-created characters that came with the game, and we're a little ways in. So basically we have been sworn in as deputies for the council for a nearby city, and they've sent us to go and locate this fortress that has gone quiet. And it turns out when we get here that the fortress has come under attack. Now you can skip the tutorial. The tutorial is quite heavy. It will take your characters sort of like put them. It basically gives you different scenarios with each of your characters, and that you learn how to sort of play the game, fight, combats, how to move around areas, that kind of thing. And then eventually it goes into the campaign. The campaign has been quite linear so far. I'm further ahead than this, and it is quite linear. It hasn't really kind of like spaced out in branched out, I should say, in the ways like Baldur's Gate has, or some of the other RPGs. It's fairly linear what it is, but it's fine. There's nothing really that I've come across that's it's particularly vexing personally, but it's that one thing I will say is that a lot of the enemies that I've met so far in the campaign do tend to like fly out of reach or climb up walls and stuff, and that can be really fucking irritating. Fortunately, our characters do have different weapon slots. So our characters are here. So we've got a little dwarf guy called Brendan. We've also got Maywen, who is an elf fighter. We've got Hector, who is a human caster, and we've got Celia, who is a human cleric. And with these, each character has different sort of abilities. So Brendan here is our paladin, and he can cast some spells, and he can also empower his attacks with smite, which does more damage. So, you know, he's a tanky character. I've given him a shield, so we can have a look at his inventory there. So he has a little shield there. I've equipped that to him. He's got an axe. His secondary weapon is a crossbow. A lot of the characters have ranged weapons, which is just as well, because the enemies, as they do, like to travel out of reach from you. But the characters are generally fairly good. We can't actually see the other ones, but you know, it's fine. The enemies we're fighting at the moment, these sort of like winged lizardy things, and again, they tend to like attack you and then fly out of range. So the best thing we can do is probably just try and shoot them with crossbows. You do sort of roll dice for everything you're doing, and I do quite like that. I'm going to ready a melee attack, and hopefully you will run into range. So they're attacking me. They missed. And you see then they fly out of range again. So I think that's like a dash attack type thing. So Hector's our caster. He's a child of the Rift, apparently. Good for him. And you have cantrips, which are spells you can just cast generally, as well as spells that you sort of like have to sleep to regain. So they have a set number of charges, and then once you've used them all, you then have to sleep to get them back. However, he does seem to be better with the crossbow. So I wonder if we can like. Can't shoot you. Can't shoot you. I wonder if we move over here. Oh, of course I was next to him. Fuck! Alright, shoot! Nice! Good shot, Hector. Fucking hell. Nice work. And because I readied their action melee attack there, which is going to kill that snaky thingy. And there's some tutorials. So, although the game starts with a tutorial, the sort of start of the adventure, it will sort of drip feed you information throughout, which is actually quite nice, because it will sort of like give you pertinent information. So we're going to attack with a mace over here. I'm going to need to move into range, and then miss. I do like the dice rolling. The dice rolling feels pretty good. Let's try and ask you a question. I'm not going to smite. Don't need to. These guys do not have very much health. And we can... Rubbish. Now, you can have action surge. Will let you take another action immediately. So I'm going to use that. And then we can try another attack. Maywen, learn how to hit snake monsters. For the love of God. Ow. Now, I guess these creatures can get out of melee range without having to... I guess they must have some ability that lets them sort of like jump out of range, because normally if you try and move out of range of a monster that's you're next to, they will have a chance to attack. Jeez, Hector, you're fucking ace with that old crossbow. Good fucking job. Okay, no one's in range, so we'll swap to crossbow and take a pot shot. Miss. Never mind. Okay, nice, but didn't actually do much damage. Let's try and... Oh, at least you're a better shot with the bloody crossbow than you are axing things, which is nice. So yeah, I really like the dice rolls. Like, it feels... I mean, it still feels like bullshit when enemies hit you and you can't hit them for God knows what, but it definitely feels better than saying, oh, you've got a 98% chance, but you miss. At least you can see the dice rolls happening. God, we're getting fucked up here. You're literally point blank range. It shouldn't be difficult. Come on, get him. Nice. That's what we wanted. Where can you see this guy from literally... Oh, there. You can see him from there. Right, run over there. And then... Boop. And he's down. Very nice. So the combat is pretty good. Although, obviously, I didn't want to waste too much stuff on... Oh, crossbow bolt. Loot all. I didn't want to waste too much time on... or energy on snake monsters, because there's nastier things to deal with. Ooh, lots of crossbow bolts. Lovely. Lovely. And the movement in the game is interesting. It's pretty good. So you can do lots of jumping and stuff. I believe that sometimes the jumping is based on your dexterity, but I think it's based off the dexterity of your most dexterous character. Although I'm not 100% sure on that. There was a tutorial on it, but I was barely paying attention. So there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of verticality in these levels, which is quite nice, and there's traps and stuff as well. You do have like a cautious mode, so you can then try and deal with the traps as they pop up, and the person who is best suited to try and deal with the trap is always going to be the one that's going to try it, which makes sense, right? Because that's if you come across your trap, you're not going to let your big farmer fingered barbarian try and stop it. You're going to let the rogue do it, aren't you? So it does make sense that, you know, when you click on a trap, the best person to do it is going to go and do it first before anyone else does. That just makes perfect sense. And the storyline is generally fine. So we're going to have a bit of story here because we know that there's someone inside the fort. They didn't want to let us in.
They're here.
You damn Sorax.
Sorax? Did they say Sorax? You can't be serious. Sorax are a legend for scaring children.
You bastards took the captain, but you won't take us.
Don't talk to them.
So you will get these roles when talking with NPCs, just like you would. Not, I mean, to be fair, some RPGs tend to sort of like bypass that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm thinking like Skyrim here, right? Skyrim was very basic on the conversation stuff. This game's quite good at it, and you will get insights and stuff that allow you to have different options for responses, and things like having different backgrounds will help. Obviously, you can use things like charisma, so we've got Burden here is quite good with charisma, so we could try with council deputies, but we can use sellsword experience for Maywen here, and she will then give a different answer than, say, if you didn't have that option available to you.
Sandreed, eh? Which unit?
What happened to don't talk to them?
The Longswords, under Lord Dalmor. He died on the 3rd day, arrow in the eye. Jonas Mills was the real leader, fought to the bitter end.
Open up. They're not Sorax.
No! I said no!
I mean, I don't know what a Sorak is. Well, I do, actually. But fairly sure we don't sound like Sorax, so...
Thank you for letting us in.
Don't thank me.
So, the game does switch. I mean, the combat bit's obviously quite nice, but then there's this bit sort of like an investigation-y bit, where we're going to have to talk to these NPCs, and the nice thing is there are various different outcomes to this little area.
Found no corpses, nothing.
We know. They took all the bodies. Ours and theirs. So no
The story,
one can prove they exist.
what I've played so far, is fine. It's not particularly imaginative, I wouldn't say,
Of course they did, just to make you look crazy.
but it's
You won't laugh
adequate.
when they come back.
We got here without trouble.
Then they let you in. And now you're trapped with us.
Why would they do that?
How should I know? They're Sorax.
Are you in charge here?
Lieutenant Beryl Stonebeard. Second in command. After Captain Henrik.
Mind if we talk to your buddies?
As long as you don't try anything clever. We're good.
So now we have to talk to NPCs, and at the end of this, basically, we'll come under attack. And one of the NPCs will die. And depending on your options, it can change the outcome to that, which is nice, because it would have been very easy for it not to matter. I'm going to put scale mail on you, and I'm going to give you arrows, and we can refill our crossbow bolts, which is always good, because, say, lots of monsters like to climb walls and shit, which can be quite annoying. So yeah, we'll give you your plate. We'll go and chat with this guy.
So, who are you, friend?
Dahlia Sunbird Scout.
Do you believe
The voice
in
acting is
Sorax?
fine. It's certainly not the worst that I've ever heard.
What do you
And I think that's kind of a theme that runs throughout this game, in that it's fine.
I'm having a
There's
pretty bad day.
nothing here
So,
that's
if you'll excuse me,
particularly offensive,
I'm gonna rest now.
but there's nothing that really makes it stand out either.
Is it me, or didn't he like that last question?
You know, it's just generally fine. I like the verticality of the levels. That's something you don't often see in these types of games. So that's really nice. And the combat is, as I say, very true to Dungeons and Dragons. The 5th edition,
Now
I
it's my
assume.
turn,
I don't know
right?
because I've not played it.
What do you mean?
What
But
is
having read
this?
some other
A
reviews,
murder
they all
investigation?
praise it for the fact it does try and follow it as closely as possible. So there is that. I've also read some reviews that say there were some bugs with it, but I've not actually come across any bugs.
Should we be investigating?
Maybe.
Speak up then.
Well, let's say this all happened after a certain expedition.
Go on.
The Scouts. They came back from a raid into the Badlands, found a ruin, came back with loot. The next day, this happens. Coincidence? You tell me. Only one of them's still alive. Daliat.
Now, the one thing I will say is that this little bit here, it does try to infer that there's something going on with Daliat, and it seems to suggest that he might be a traitor, but it turns out that he's just sort of been... He found a book or something, and if you can question him correctly, question everyone correctly, and also pass some dice rolls, then you can actually find out that he's got a book, and he'll give you the book. Now, you can just not find this information, which is really cool. The fact that there are different sort of ways to learn things. But the campaign itself is still quite linear, and I think this is down to the fact that it's built using this editor. And because it's done using that, it had that sort of linear progression of areas, and so I don't think there's any way to branch that out, which is a bit of a shame.
Lieutenant Stonebeard. Is she up to the
But then, if that's just the way that Solasta works, then that's just the way it does. Not every game has to be an expansive open world with hundreds of side quests.
You can trust her with a sword. That's worth something in my book.
So what do you think we should do?
For starters, not wait in here for the Sorax to come back and off us.
But Stonebeard says stay, and she's an officer, so...
Yeah, she's a stubborn one. And mutiny's a bad look on a soldier. You could talk to her, deputy of the council and all.
So if we find a way, you're with us?
I'm with myself. But don't let that stop you.
I mean, the character designs are fine. There's plenty of options there.
Right. We need to make a decision here.
The Sorax are real? Well, that's a lot to take in.
They're either crazy or stupid. No use to us in either case. We have enough to make our report to the council, so let's get going.
If we don't help them, they'll either die or kill each other.
Let 'em. Could be fun to watch.
So, everyone has an opinion, but what are we going to do?
And what about Daliat? We got some pretty worrying hints about him. What if he really is hiding something important?
What indeed?
We need to talk to him. Find out the truth.
So, we're going to go and talk to Daliat. Now, depending on who you talk to in this area can change various things. We're going to talk to Daliat and see if we can get him to fess up.
We need to talk.
Do we?
About this trip to the Badlands.
That's what we do here.
The Sorax attacked after you came back.
So what? I brought them here?
Did you bring something back?
We always do. Like the scavengers. Ask Sharp. He has tons of things brought back from there.
But maybe this time you took something special.
It's nothing of value to Sorax.
How would you know?
So, we've got different chances of success here. We've only got a 60% chance. And it's the best one. So we're going to try that.
Upstairs. We're all on the same side here.
that's not going to work.
No.
So...
Show us, or we'll help ourselves.
well, that's not going to work.
I don't think so.
Okay, so we failed that, and oh, you know what? I've never had him attack me before. Holy shit. Okay, well, we're gonna just axe him. Axe him a question. Let's end your turn. That's a miss. That's a hit. 7. That's nasty. Nasty hits. That's a miss. Let's cast a little spell. Should we stick him with a dagger? Okay, well that was useless. I guess we'll end the turn. Do we? Who's injured? Oh, Maywen's taking a real beating. So let's try cure wounds. I need to be next to Maywin. So I can cast spell, do that. Nice. That was good. Right, let's try and axe him again. Good hits. What can you do? Second wind should be a heal, but I think you're fine. Both misses. God, burden. Just, you are a burden. Jesus. Learn how to hit people. Let's try firebolt. Toasty. So I've never actually had him attack me before. I think that's because I failed the intimidation roll. But he's dead now, so that's the main thing.
You've got some explaining to do.
Well, we just killed one guy.
That's probably why they attacked.
He refused to let it go, despite the danger.
I'm not surprised.
That's it? So when it's your turn to be killed, I should just say that?
Lisbeth!
So this is one of the Sorax lists of unusual size. And if you talk to Robar, it will be Lisbeth that dies. But if you talk to Lisbeth, it will be Robar that dies. Or if you get the book, it'll be Robar that dies. And the next part of the quest leads you into this little hole over here that's now at the top. And this is where the Sorak came from. And depending, you get 2 allies into the next area. And depending on what happens, the allies will change. Which is quite cool. You can't actually reach anyone, so I might just... if I put you there, then you can stick him with a crossbow bolt. Nice hits. Okay, let's scooch down there. And mash you with a mace. Oh, good hit. These Sorax can kind of climb walls, which can be really irritating. Because they will just hang off walls and chuck shit at you. Which could be quite annoying, actually. And they can also do teleports and stuff. Oh yeah, there they go. There he goes, climbing walls. Right, what a dick. So the only thing I could do now is just shoot him with crossbow bolts. I mean, or I can use spells. Get off there. Don't make me come up there. I mean, I can't, but, you know, theoretically. Some good shots. Come on. Don't miss. And down he goes.
Lisbeth.
I'm sorry.
I should have...
Stay with us, brother. We're not the enemy.
Sorax.
Right. Who's crazy now?
We must
I mean,
alert the
still
council.
you.
We need to get out of here. That's what we need.
Look at that skin. It's unbelievable.
Make a fantastic handbag.
He came from here. Look.
What's this? A secret passage?
From Imperial times.
That was just a scout. More will be coming.
They're here. They're coming back. Outside.
We need to go. Take your stuff. Into the secret passage before it's too late.
And so we're now into the next area, and we get Beryl and Robar. You can get the sneaky assassin guy if you don't kill him, obviously. You can... Daliats? That's the one. You can get Daliats, but Lisbeth will never come with you. But the other two characters sort of like determined by your actions in that previous area, and obviously we managed to get that book. Last time I managed to talk him into giving it to me, and that went fine. Obviously killing him works fine as well.
Yesterday.
But having various different ways to complete the quest, kind of, that's nice. I like that. Different ways of doing that. Even if the quest, even if like the adventure itself is quite linear, because I always feel like as a dungeon master, while you obviously give your characters, you know, freedom to go wherever they want, you're going to be following an adventure, and the dungeon master's going to try and sort of like draw you towards the objective regardless of what you do. We'll do all that, that's fine. And so it feels like Solasta is just, it's like playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's not a RPG video game that uses Dungeons and Dragons as a sort of like a vague rule set. It's trying to be Dungeons and Dragons as a video game, and it seems to be able to do that very, very well. I say the adventure that we're playing is not particularly like the storyline is not particularly sort of imaginative, or I'm not really invested in it, but it, you know, as a Dungeons and Dragons game, it works. It works rather well. I think it does. So that was just a quick look at Solasta and its new DLC, Primal Calling. Nice to do barbarians. I like the orc barbarians personally. I like making me a beefy orc barbarian girl, but that's just my preference. So if you like the look of this, then it's currently on Steam, I say, for, I think it's about 40 quid, something like that. It's currently almost 50% off, so well worth a look if you like your D&D but don't have any friends to play it with. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.